Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Head of Advanced Technologies Group, Uber, Eric Meyhofer, in discussion with Skift Assistant Managing Editor, Fei Chu.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. We're going to be taking questions at the end of the session, so please do submit your questions via the mobile app. We'd love to hear from you. Good afternoon, Eric. It's so great to have you here.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
To start, tell us a bit about your division and how it fits into Uber's broader business.
Wow. Okay, so it's kind of interesting how Uber works. It has the main initiative that everyone knows and is used to, which is ride sharing. And then it does what it calls big, bold bets. And the big, bold bets are typically, they function as separate business units, but they are just Uber. But you have the luxury of taking all the great things that you think make sense for your business, but yet still being able to be nimble and lean and build it how you want. But you're still at Uber at the end of the day, but it's what Uber thinks its future is going to look like.
Got it. So before we dive any further into what you are doing specifically in your group, could you help us understand how your division relates to Uber's other R&D efforts, for example, the flying car group and their initiative?
Yep. So we think of Uber as a platform. And it's a platform that we imagine all of the world's people and things moving on. And when we think about what that future of moving looks like, there are things like Eats, or moving your food, or
delivery business,
right, or freight, or then Elevate, going to the air, and then how you think about the first mile, last mile. If you want to connect, at the end, you just want to push a button and go wherever you want to go, and you don't necessarily want to think about all the modalities. It might be the best way is public transportation to a jump bike, and that jump bike might dock onto the back of your self-driving vehicle, where you charge it and you get some sort of credit for distributing that bike to the right place in the city, and your Elevate, you're flying, Uber Eats lands on the roof of this thing and you get your meal. We just have this really phenomenal future and opportunity in front of us, and Uber enables all of that to occur because of the platform and the scale of it.
It's expansive in its reach, and so however you need to get from A to B, it seems you want to be the company that delivers it.
That's right, at Uber scale.
So in terms of these different initiatives, they fit together. How do the timelines to market compare for the autonomous cars versus the flying cars, or taxis rather?
Yeah, so the flying car, it's interesting because one of the things they have ahead of them that's super challenging is building that network. And
whereas the ride sharing already exists.
That's right.
That's right. You just started helicopter service within New York City very recently.
As part of the approach to building this network, and really demonstrating how to do this new mode of transportation, where with car, it's already understood how things move around, so we don't have to do both sides of it. Freight is like that also. For freight, we build the freight network, and then at some point when the freight network is built, we can add autonomous to the network.
So what are some of the challenges to meaningful commercial success for your division in particular?
Wow, meaningful commercial success. Yes. So
qualify there.
I mean, it's a pretty challenging problem in every regard, but I think meaningful commercial success is one of the things that's most advantageous with us at Uber. And the reason I say that is because for us, we can meaningfully commercialize in areas of cities that are incomplete. And what that means is, since we have the ability to build the robotic technology in a hybrid fashion with the human fleet that we have there already, with our driver partner coverage that's very expansive, we can bring the self-driving technology in perhaps like a 10 or 15% of a city, and not have to get coverage on the whole city. So the technology.
It's a complementary modality now.
That's right. So the self-driving can do the easy parts, and the ride-sharing network that's got the driver partners does the hard stuff.
So you've pretty much answered this, but you're primarily an R&D division at this point, and it's likely to be that way for some time. When and what ways do you expect to contribute to Uber's bottom lines in these little gaps that you can fill in basic routes?
Well, yeah, but if you look at Uber's growth, it's been remarkable. It's been a hockey stick, and we love that, and we want to maintain that. And part of the way we see that is self-driving on ride sharing will be better, safer, and cheaper. And so the better experience, the safer end-to-end mode of transportation, and then the cost. And as the cost comes down, the size of the market increases. Right now,
more scale.
We only have access to 0.1% of miles in the United States. Uber is the size it is today at a 0.1% addressable market. So when you look at, as you bring that price down, that goes up orders of magnitude, and it completely changes how we imagine people moving.
So you have a long career in commercializing new technologies. What lessons do you bring from other industries and products that inform your leadership at ATG?
Wow. So I'll share. When we set out to do this, when we started this, I was pretty comfortable with how difficult the technical side of the problem was going to be. Not that it was going to be easy, but I understood the challenge.
Yeah.
What I didn't understand, I've got 1,300 people working on self-driving. In the past 4 years, we built that team. I didn't quite understand how challenging hypergrowth would be, and what it takes to have the emotional engagement, the team that at the beginning of the year is a different team at the end of the year with that kind of growth. Half the people in the building you don't even know. And that dynamic and this pace and
massive growth,
the intensity of the challenge, that needs to be rooted in the speed of trust and how people build relationships. And we've built a mini society, and to see how that comes to be that was very surprising and unlike anything I'd done before, because typically it's 50 or 100 people as a company.
And going back to scale, and just the magnitude of this.
Uber scale is a fascinating thing. Yes.
Work ever bigger. So let's talk about the commercialization of innovation. Help us understand the complexity of bringing this technology to market.
Yeah. So it's, in some ways, you can call it an infinite problem, and sometimes you'll ask someone, an expert in the field, when do you think this will be?
Right, when is it going to be here?
And someone will say 30 years. And there's truth to that. It'll take 30 years to do autonomy in some of the most complex areas. Or you can ask someone, when do you think it'll be done? And they could say, in 18 months. And they're answering that question truthfully, but they're answering it with a really small area of operation. And so how much of the apple you bite off, level 5, which is the type of autonomy where it drives everywhere all the time in any condition. That isn't what we're doing. That isn't what we're trying to take to market. We're taking what is called level 4, where you put some restrictions on it to make the technology more achievable in a sooner timeline. Things like, well, if it's raining, maybe you don't operate. Or at night, when it's more difficult for the cameras, perhaps you don't operate then. Or the most complex areas of cities. Or in the beginning, you start in the most simple areas of cities where the autonomy problem is the easiest to attack.
So you would say right now we're still very much in a hybrid phase.
Oh, we'll be in the hybrid phase for quite a long time at Uber. It's one of our go-to-market leverage points. It's one of the strengths. It's one of the things that allows us.
You're truly taking the long view.
Our intention is to be able to supplement Uber's growth and to add to the areas of operation. There are parts of cities that don't have enough ride density that you won't see our operators running, where the robots don't care.
What are the biggest challenges that you face bringing this product to market then?
So I think it's about getting people to understand how the technology works. And it's not something you show up with 1,000 cars in a city one day and say, we're here, it's ready. It's got to be more deliberate and more thoughtful so that folks start to understand that it does make their life better, that it is the experience that they want, and they become accustomed to how it operates with them, and that it's theirs.
It's theirs,
and
right?
To show the world.
Key.
Yeah, it's their thing. Yeah.
So this business model has a lot of dependencies. Let's talk about the partnerships. Your business is reliant on partnerships. One component is partnerships with manufacturers like Volvo, and now also Toyota, tied to the $1 billion combined investment with SoftBank and Denso. How do you work with multiple partners, especially partners that could be at odds with each other?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, because in the beginning, when you build a relationship with, these are 100-year-old mega companies.
Legacy brands. Volvo, the family car.
And Toyota, it's a family. When you set off and you say, well, we're going to do this, but mind you, we're going to do this with multiple partners, it's notional and it's abstract, and it's like, sure, okay. But then when you're sitting together at a table, it's an interesting dynamic, and we are very open and very transparent with one another. And the relationship we've had with Volvo for the past 4 years has been just so special and meaningful, and the way they work with us, they teach us. We didn't know how an OEM builds cars. I mean, we didn't.
And can you explain what OEM stands for?
Original equipment manufacturer, a car company. And they didn't make us feel ignorant. They educated us. And together, we've come to a place where we really understand how to work together.
A true collaboration.
Absolutely. And Volvo is public about this, so I can share it. In 2025, they expect 30% of their sales to be self-driving. 30%. 30%. That's phenomenal.
That's quite a number.
And when you look at a region, Germany, 30% of their GDP is automotive. This is
So you think that's achievable?
Do I think Volvo's predictions are achievable?
The 30%?
I absolutely, yes, I do. and then with Toyota, we have a different kind of relationship, and it's about how we capitalize or how we fleet manage or operate these vehicles. With the two different OEMs, we have two different car companies. We have different paths for how we'll do this, and our Toyota relationship is very new, and we're still kind of looking through that to see what the thing is that makes the most sense for us. But we're excited about they're an amazing operation.
So let's not forget there are other things you need to navigate: legal, governmental, and policy issues. I mean, let's be real. This must be a nightmare. I mean, it's complicated getting this off the ground, all of it.
I think it's a dream, not a nightmare, but it is definitely in a dream state. And the legal thing is complex. But I think that the thing that is interesting about what we're doing, which is different than with aviation, there aren't firm regulations that talk about this.
That's true.
And what we don't want to do is build something that, at the end of the day, scares regulators or people. We want them to come along on the journey with us, so they are a part of how we're doing this. They don't control it, but we're doing it so they can see and they understand how we make choices, and they start to build trust in how we make choices, so that as we get to the time where this is actually ready to take to market or commercialize, they're not seeing it for the first time saying, what the heck? Wow, we don't know what this is. This isn't cool. And they build regulations against what we're doing.
And this is all very gradual.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is a journey.
So 2 weeks ago at Uber's Elevate Summit, your group unveiled the third generation prototype of Uber's self-driving car with the Volvo XC90. This is a car that has not just an engine, but a brain. Can you describe how your software and hardware efforts work together to create this car?
Sure. How much time?
We have a little bit of time left. There's so much to discuss.
It's really fantastic. So this is the first car for Volvo, and perhaps anyone, that has been designed to be computer controlled. And there are big differentiators there. So for example, today, your car, the redundancy in the braking system or the steering system is you. So it might have electronic brakes, but if that electronic system goes down, your foot pressure will be the backup and will still safely stop the vehicle. So for us with Volvo, we had to do this assuming there wouldn't be someone in that seat. So it has to have 2 steering systems, 2 braking systems, 2 power systems. It has to have computers that talk to our computers, or computers that talk to a computer that runs even when ours breaks.
So you have these redundancies, so it's a more
yes.
fail-safe product.
Yes, so we can't have any single thing result. We call it fail operational.
Fail operational.
So when it fails, it has to fail in an operational state so it can safely end the ride.
So we're running out of time here. Following our talk, we'll be hearing from Roger McNamee, co-founder of Elevation Partners, on what responsibilities companies have to society. What are the potential advantages and costs of a world of self-driving cars? And as you build out and scale this network, what is Uber's responsibility to the world?
Advantages and costs and responsibilities. So the advantages are that we understand are better, safer, and cheaper. There are advantages that we don't quite understand yet that are going to be presented to us that are around, now that you have this much more cost-effective thing, people will do different things. Their span of their area of life will change, will grow. And so that'll be fascinating to see how it affects where people will go. And as responsibilities go, we've got the opportunity. There are 40,000 people in the United States alone that die in car crashes every year, and we've got the opportunity to reduce that, and that's a big responsibility. And we take that very seriously, and it's one of the things that gets people to come into this really hard journey, is that you get to make that better, and we're excited about that.
Well, that's great. So I think we have time now for some questions. Okay, let's see. How will Uber stack up versus other autonomous car efforts from Waymo, Tesla, and others?
Wow, this is Slido.
Is there any differentiation in the tech?
Okay, yes and no. So Tesla does it differently than...
They already have some automated features, right?
They do have automated features. So Waymo and others, and Uber, we take a very, I call it traditional. It's not traditional. We've been only doing this for about a decade, but we do LiDAR, camera, radar, and we have high definition maps, and we use those maps.
The AI technology.
Well, that is a part of it, yes. And we use these maps where we put some of the autonomy challenges into the map to help it along. Where Tesla doesn't use LiDAR and they don't use maps. Mm-hmm. So there are things about that approach that make it more challenging, but do make it less costly. The cost of our map generation and maintenance, it's billions of dollars to do all the cities. So that's a difficult thing to reconcile when it comes to scale, where that isn't something Tesla is faced with. So that fundamentally their technology has a cost advantage there, but the amount of time it will take them to build it with the absence of a map or with LiDAR is a longer horizon. Wow. And so we are choosing the other direction for those reasons.
Got it. Okay. Let's take a look at another question. When does innovation in transportation run into regulatory reality, and how do you manage for that?
So this is a little bit different for Uber today than it was for Uber in the beginning. In the beginning, when Uber would do ride sharing, the ride sharing service, they would go to a city and just build ride sharing, and reg would catch up to it. That is not the approach we're taking with self-driving. With self-driving, we're doing it in an alliance, in a partnership, as a together, and that's a little bit different. So it's not about reg catching up, it's about reg just going along on our journey so they don't get to that shock point where they have to try and catch up and make those rash decisions. So they'll be part of this journey.
think we have time. Oh, that's it? Oh, we've run out of time. Thank you very much, Eric,
my
for
pleasure.
joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's been great. Thank you.